Get it. Okay, Lee,
Present.
Catherine,
Present.
Margaret, Scott. Christina,
Present.
Diane. Bonnie,
Present. And we have Igor here. Does somebody want to make him a voting member?
I will make that motion.
A second. Second.
we have Jerry here also.
Jerry,
And we have Jerry also. Yeah, so.
I'll make that motion as well.
Okay, second that as well. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I get to.
Yes, you get
Let me get
the hard seat right there. All right, great. We have a set of minutes from the past that have not been approved, March 13th. Everybody read those?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I
was
Here.
Have a seat.
Let's
go.
There's a,
Bring out the seat up to the table.
Let's give him a hard seat.
yeah.
Yeah, he gets
They
one
should
of those. There
have
you go.
bought another chair.
There you go.
I forgot to change.
Two alternates, that puts us with.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have to unappoint one of our alternates. We have
I
to
can go.
unappoint one of our alternates.
Okay, I can go on.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, go. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
Seriously, yeah.
Okay, oh, no, you can stay, but when, but.
Yes, yeah, but that's all.
You can stay and participate in all the discussions and everything, but if we ask for a vote,
I get a vote. Okay,
you can't vote.
perfect.
Yeah, but you can certainly stay. All right, March 13th, minutes, anybody read them at this late date that were, who was on the
I have
board
read
then?
them.
I was on the board.
You were on the board, I was, you
I
were-
think we were waiting for Scott, right?
who else was?
I was, but I wasn't here.
You were.
I'm not sure.
Do you see let's see the attendance of who was at that meeting on March
God.
3rd.
I don't remember what I did yesterday.
See who was actually here at that meeting.
You
Oh,
were
here we
there,
are.
Scott.
I was
Who
there.
March 13th.
Okay, Scott was here, Margaret, Jerry, myself, Christina. Okay, we're all there, so we can vote on them. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve? on it?
Motion approved.
What's that?
I wasn't here. Oh, I was on the board, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I'll second the motion.
oh, okay, any corrections, errors, or omission? All right, motion has been made and seconded. You want to do the roll call?
Margaret? Yes. Lee,
Abstain. Oh, man, good.
and Catherine,
Abstain.
Scott,
Oh, yes.
Christina, Bonnie,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
and Igor.
But
He
Igor's
wasn't
not
here.
voting.
He wasn't here, yeah.
All right, did we get 4 votes?
Yes.
Oh, good. We finally approved them. We had trouble having a quorum present to approve them in the past. June 12th meeting. Minutes.
I
Anybody
make a
wanna
motion to approve the June
All right.
12th minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Margaret?
Any corrections, errors, or omissions? You want to do the roll call?
Hey, Margaret?
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Christina? Yes. Bonnie
Yes.
and Jerry
Yes.
and Igor. Oh, Igor's. no.
Oh,
Wipe me out.
All right, those minutes were approved also. Selectmen's report. Do you have anything to report?
Nothing on, not a lot going on. We're approving a bid for the salt shed that's underway. And, putting out the bid, putting RFP for the Ice Castle Road or whatever. You know, it's not the Ice Castle Road, but the public road there. They pay for it and we just have to, it has to go through us, so
So they're gonna pay
whatever it
to
costs.
improve,
Yep, they pave the road.
pave the road.
Yep. And that's it, not a lot happening. We had a joint meeting with Lincoln.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anything else? Anything you want to ask, Scott? All right, thank you for the report. Correspondence received, we received wetlands permits to Calder Divine Estate property and the Jack Lantern Resort property. We received those in the mail. And they just go on file. Does anybody have any questions?
What approvals, do they need an approval from us, or is it just an acknowledgement of receipt?
It's acknowledgement of receipt. Unless you have a application before you, or they have, you know, an application that they've received from a permit they've received from the planning board. Unless it's a planning board matter, a subdivision, earth excavation permit, or some other permit that's under our jurisdiction, it's just for our review and acknowledgement.
Okay.
So as far as the call of that divine pit goes, it's okay as long as they follow the conditions that they put in the permit and so forth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the only thing that concerned me a bit was it referred to, that this kept referring to an existing permit. And there isn't one. That was the only thing I found puzzling, that the engineer was classifying it as, there was language in there that said things such as expansion of an existing sand and gravel pit.
Okay.
Presently an active sand and gravel pit. Pit expanded as part of a permit. You know, that kind
So
of language was in
So
there.
a sand pit, gravel pit permit has not been applied for or approved, is that what? I'm hearing?
Renewed there. The last permit that was there was under the name Walter Define. And it was in non-compliance and has not been restored. The plan was, the representation made was that the new proposal for the home park was going to be part of that restoration plan. So Calder's did not apply for a new permit or ask for a new permit. So I just found it a little puzzling why in this document it was called an active sand and gravel pit. The purpose is of expanding the pit that already exists. That kind of language in there, I found troublesome because, you know,
Let's,
is that,
the easy one would be to ask Mr. Calder to clarify, maybe.
yes,
So she should know this by now. So.
I don't, I'm brand new, so
Yeah,
bear with
you
me.
should know this by now. So I have an alteration of terrain that's been approved from the state of New Hampshire.
Yeah,
You got that across the board, you all got that alteration. approved.
right, we
And
did,
So after the fact, it's not after the fact, but because we don't need a intent to excavate anymore, we have an alteration of terrain permit. So it's called incidental gravel.
Yep.
Incidental material. So the board has nothing to do with it anymore. And all I have to do is report the incidental gravel to the state.
for taxation
For
reasons.
tax purposes only. And she's been there long enough, she should know that by now, so.
well,
It's so puzzling how the wording is or whatever for her.
But
Horizon was the same engineer previously. And so Horizon knows what he is looking at, you would think. So I just found myself, I agree with all you said, and your representations you made, but I found it puzzling that, in there, they kept referring to an existing. Expansion of an existing sand and gravel pit.
Well, isn't that what it is? Isn't that what it is?
Well, if it is, it should have a new permit, I would think.
Not if it's incidental gravel. Or incidental ledge, or incidental sand, or incidental rock.
So by incidental, so basically, and again, forgive me,
Stuff that has to be removed to get.
you get the way you want it to be to make whatever you're gonna build on it.
It was kind of part of the restoration plan.
I understand.
So I got this right from the lady Mary Pinkham Langdon that you
Yes.
all knew
I,
before.
yeah, matter.
And she's the one that, you know, steered me straight. I tried to get in touch with the guy who took her place. He didn't return my phone call for several days.
She was a tough lady too, so she knew her stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but she did everything by the book.
Yeah, oh, I know.
That's how it was. So I think the guy's name is Scott. I don't remember the guy's name. That took her place.
Yeah.
Called him 3 times, never called me back. Finally, I made a point to call him on 3 times in one day. He returned my phone call. All he wanted was the incidental gravel. So we made a intent to excavate permit. So we have it down there. It's all signed from the selectmen. It's posted on the thing.
Right.
It's all incidental gravel. As long as we report the material we're taking out of there, they're fine with that.
Mhm. Be interesting to get Horizon to clarify what they meant. I mean, I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, it's.
Could have been a
and it-
semantics issue.
Right, and it seems to me,
Well, if you
that
guys
as long as the tax is getting paid.
Right.
Material that's coming out of there, I mean,
Exactly.
I think we should just move on.
Yeah,
I agree.
I
agree.
found it, you know, is my only comment. I fully believe.
Right.
But when the engineer, that was the same engineer, keeps calling it an active pit. You know, it was poor wording, if that is.
I think it's a semantics
Yeah.
thing.
Is
you've
exactly the
got- you've got-
situation.
He's got a permit.
You've got a paper on, a permit down there, right?
Everyone's swinging
Yeah.
right by the gate, it's right on the post.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
all there.
I think we're being.
Thank you for supplying us with the information. Appreciate it.
It's still the active pit, so I don't know why she's misinterpreting that.
I mean,
We're expanding the pit to get our alteration of terrain. So the board knows is that there's 26 acres there. The state would like us to do phase 1 and phase 2. That's why we haven't stumped the northern half.
Right,
They would like us to go to phase 1, do everything back from the driveway south. And then once that's completed and close to restored, ready to go, we can start on phase.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
all right.
thanks.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, the Jack-o'-lantern resort, permit that's,
Goes to the dam.
we don't have any,
About what?
connection with
Yeah.
that, that's your usual situation of repairing a dam. We have a correspondence from Christine Perrin, the New Hampshire DOT 175 Bridge Project, that's another thing just for information to keep us informed. No proposal before us. And there was a request from a citizen to do a traffic count study in Woodstock. And North Country Council contacted us, well, this person, is this part of your board, is the board asking for a traffic study? So I just put it on the agenda, do we want a traffic study done? Or not,
How much is it?
I don't know, I just,
And where?
For what reason, yeah, and where.
And what reason? and where? Yes.
I don't know, we can find out
If-
what their thoughts are, but it
Stay
wasn't.
tuned.
Right,
Yeah.
if somebody would like to do a traffic study, they should probably go to either the planning board or the selectmen and
Yeah.
request that
Right.
they.
Request it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe you can
there's a-
say there was one of those clickers.
For here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
Not that I'm against it, but I mean, I just.
yeah, what's the
Yeah,
reason
or
why?
where it's gonna go.
we won't act upon that, at this point. Update on the Vertex Tower approval. We got the only thing I saw was we got the information within the 7 days that we requested. Is there anything else outstanding there that we?
I'm happy with it.
No, that was the only thing, that I saw that we requested. All right, follow up on the master plan subcommittee informal meeting we had. Update on our goals and any discussions that we might want to have. We had a meeting, and it was predominantly downtown folks, but there were other people there at the meeting. There were 20 people at the meeting. There are minutes of that subcommittee meeting. Lots of topics that relate to downtown came up, such as trash cans and public restrooms and speed limits and sidewalks and crosswalks and parking and limiting on all of that. What's happening is we're going to take the information we've learned so far. Christina has agreed to kind of put it all together in a rough draft.
Yeah.
And see what we got. See how much information we have. I personally think there's other topics we haven't really talked about much, like natural resources, and Jim back there is going to probably agree, and he mentioned at the downtown meeting, let's not forget the Penny River. I mean, we talked about downtown and the logistics of traffic and sidewalks and stuff, but we also have a river just right there,
Should be.
parallel. And so we gotta think about that, while we're making any downtown comments about what's best for downtown. So that's where that stands. There was a topic that came up out of that meeting, and that was the thought that maybe we should look into zoning. Perhaps have a 2-zone plan, downtown and all else.
And what would be the reason for that?
To have, to maybe, the group thought, but to maybe have more input into downtown and what's happening there and as
So more of a precinct than a zoning.
I think the idea was to look at the rest of the town too, is what some people have come up
Yeah.
with. You know, with some small, not egregious zoning, just some,
Yeah,
the real value of having zoning is the site plan review process. Without it, you don't have site plan review.
you don't even have one zone, really.
You could have one zone. It could be very minimalistic. But the group that gathered thought downtown is a unique area. It's defines Woodstock and its high density population, a lot going on there. That it's a different thing than all the rest of the town, 175 and Route 3 and all the other places in town. There are maybe more concerns and more issues to it, like the parking and the traffic and the
Well, a lot of those can be done,
without.
without, and I think what the meeting was good, because I think it was meant to be more of a downtown meeting anyway.
right.
And businesses try to work with the chamber and so forth. And what I came up with, there were a lot of good ideas that some of us will all follow up on, I think. And I thought with Monty's, everybody's so busy right now. It was late to start this, everybody's into the summer, and like, well, to maybe try to come up with an email chain, that we can all kind of hash, the whole group of downtown people kind of hash ideas back and forth. But I was gonna look at the traffic thing and all that.
Right.
Thing, so, and just trying to keep in contact. It's a lot easier to read a 1-page email than it is to have even for an hour and a half. But now,
Instead of zoning and going down that path, because I know there's been pushback historically.
Four times it's been brought forward
But
and
If
didn't
the,
make it.
if the idea is that there's gonna be other investments that are made in downtown and that type of thing. The reason I said precinct is because you could have a different taxation structure for downtown as opposed to zoning, which doesn't really do that.
I don't think you need zoning to do that.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, there's, different village precincts and that.
But
type
we
of
did
thing.
it for last, Lost Valley.
Lost Valley.
They've got a special assessment district.
Yeah, so
They can
something,
upgrade the roads so they can be town roads.
right,
So they paid
a betterment kind
a
of thing.
betterment type of thing to the town.
Right, but I mean, if there was, I read some of the minutes and some of the things that caught my eye were like public restrooms. Okay, it's a great idea. Who's gonna pay for
That's
that?
gonna do it.
I mean,
That's not gonna happen.
I know, but I know, but
It's a great idea.
It's, what it does is it says, okay, how would you do something like that? And you have to fund it. And for those of us who are not downtown and don't have businesses downtown, we don't wanna fund it.
Right.
But for those people who do, I completely get it because your businesses are reliant on people coming in and they have to go potty, I mean, it's, somebody's
Well,
gonna
I'm the
clean them
public-
and that type of thing.
I own the public restrooms.
You.
I'll be telling you, the
Me
Cascade
too.
Lodge, Cascade Park, I'll tell you right now.
But I mean, so really, I mean, it's, so that's why, when I read them, I was thinking, geez, precinct, because it sounds more like a taxation issue. than zoning.
That's maybe a possibility.
Oh, I think so too, especially if we want to do major improvements along.
Right, exactly. And then you get a lot less back from everybody that's out and about,
So, yeah, let's just take a consensus, so that thoughts that came up at that meeting. Do we want to just table it and not think about it at the moment?
Let's table
Moving
zoning.
forward, table, yeah,
We table zoning.
if there was interest in it, we'd have to get started working on it in order to have it ready for town meeting. That's a town meeting vote. So if it was a tool we were even thinking about, we'd have to get going
it
on.
would take me a lot of reading to get on board,
All right,
just so you know. I mean, that's not, it's not something I'm gonna be on board with
All right.
for this year.
all
But
right.
if the discussion is going that way, it's gonna take a lot of,
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna take a lot of work and some
A lot of work.
other help besides just
Yes.
us.
right?
Yeah.
You know.
So you said.
I move we table it.
I was just, what I brought up, at that thing is that there's, out of like, I guess 130 towns. Ships in New Hampshire, there's only 6 that do not have any zoning.
Hamworth, Woodstock.
Which- Not that that's bad.
Right.
I mean, it's the way it is. Yeah.
All right, Jerry's made a motion to table it. That's non-debatable. I'm gonna table it
I'll
For this
Second.
year.
yeah, for this-
for now,
Yep.
yep, okay, let's see. Are we going to have any meetings? Scott is suggesting we do through email and corresponding that way. Over the summer on our visions and our master plan, like I said, Christina's gonna try to put together a rough
I
draft.
was just talking about downtown.
Yeah, well,
So,
can you do that without having a meeting? I just wanna make sure that.
No, my thing is, this is a separate, it's not,
Okay,
nothing to do
absolutely.
with planning board,
Perfect,
nothing to do with planning
all
board.
right,
From now on, we're just gonna kind of work together as a downtown and,
Okay.
have input.
Main Street Woodstock, like Main Street Plymouth.
Yeah, exactly. So
Gotcha.
I think that's the idea.
so you're suggesting the downtown area just gets together informally on their own?
Yeah,
Separate from the.
I mean, we
from
can
the
have,
planning board?
members from here go to
Right.
meetings and all, welcome.
Okay,
But I think we're focusing on
Perfect.
business and,
okay,
I like it.
Well, I think that, like you guys are saying, should be 2 separate issues, that it's a downtown businesses that are discussing about beautification or
right,
vision of how that looks. The separate issue is the zoning. That because if you want to go that route zoning, it has to do nothing with the beautification or
right,
making it better. It's better, it's like us who have business.
it's us benefit.
Want to make it better.
well, the downtown discussion can be separate from the whole town of Woodstock discussion about the natural resources and the housing and the every other thing.
And if you do go down the zoning path and the downtown crew, the Main Street crew would have certainly
Mhm.
want to have input for that, for sure.
Okay. Report on status of meeting minutes and video updates to the website. There were some comments made that a lot of them weren't there yet. Kathy, do you wanna tell us where we're at with that. She's been working.
They weren't approved. That's-
Yeah, and
She's been
also,
working like the Dickens to get them.
I didn't have access to upload it until recently, so I sat there the other day and I uploaded everything, so. The only thing I need to upload now is the ones that were just approved as far as minutes. So
Well, thank
everything
you.
should
Yeah,
be,
thank you.
She's worked wicked hard to get us caught up and,
Kathy's announcement.
thank you. We were slacking and didn't have them all there, but like Kathy just said, she just got access to be able to do it on her own.
And she
So,
can't post them until we.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you'll see much improvement in having them more promptly than in the past. There were two other issues that Margaret reminded us of, and we have been working on the subdivision regulations for quite some time, and we weren't having quorums, and they kind of got tabled. And they're in fairly good shape and nearly ready to bring forward. So we were thinking, and that's not a town meeting vote, that's a planning board vote, but they're really nearly ready for us to look at. So we were thinking that maybe we send a copy to everybody, all of the members, look at them, see what you think of them. And try to come back in August, ready to critique them and ready to approve a set good enough to have a hearing on them in September. So if everybody can look at them, they're pretty good. I mean, a lot of, and our attorney has reviewed them and think that just like they are legal, are perfectly fine, but we made some things, there's a few topics to discuss. Margaret, there were a couple of decisions we still need to make. Do you want to remind them?
This is the document that I sent to you this afternoon that has the embedded comments in it.
Okay.
So, as you go through it, it'll be obvious where the things are that we need to review. And I don't want to take a lot of our time this evening reading it out to everybody. I think we can go through it relatively quickly at our next meeting if everybody takes a few minutes to look at it ahead of time. But I wanted to make sure that all of you had received it, and if when you get home and you take a look at it, you have any trouble accessing the comments, let me know and I'll make sure you get a copy that you can read, or I can go through it with you and show you where the comments are so that you're familiar with what it is.
Okay, so let's try to do that if we can. And then the other thing that we didn't finish up was the FEMA rating system. Some of you are new and didn't get involved in that, but we are in the flood insurance program. We're legal, we got all that work done. But there is a way to reduce the flood insurance rates by doing certain things that enable homeowners to get better rates.
There's a second program that's a layer on top of the National Flood Insurance Program. That's called the Community Rating System. And by completing certain actions and coordinating with our regional coordinator, I think there's one per state that's a FEMA appointed coordinator. They come in and take a look at what we have in place and what we're intending to do and how our regulations are written and whether or not we have them actually passed into law. And evaluate the steps that we're taking and then assess what we've done and give it a point. And what I've done is taken a look through the coordinator's manual, and there's a series of different categories that these things go into. And based on what people have done nationwide, they've given the number of points possible, the percentage of places that people have completed these, and the number of average points. Adding it up, if we completed the ones that the majority of people have been able to complete, which seems pretty likely for us, we could raise our status from a zone 10 where we are right now, which is not rated, with 0 reduction in rate, up to a level 7, which would give us a 15% deduction.
Can
Which
you
is-
forward that information to us?
I can, yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Look at that for next time.
Like you or the-
It's gonna take some work on our part.
It'll take a lot of
A
work,
lot of work.
and it'll take some time.
How many towns have accomplished it? Not many.
In New Hampshire right now, there are only 5 towns that have even applied to be part of this program. And right now, the one that's in the best state is just approaching a level 7. So,
That'd be interesting, yeah.
yeah,
Which town is that?
that's Nashua.
And we were
And they have
talking,
a full-time planner and everybody
Right.
else.
But-
That's the word.
We
That's the
could
word.
do this.
We have
It-
Kathy.
It's not,
Oh, yeah. He's looking the other way.
it's not a possibility. We just need to put a subcommittee together and be systematic about it.
and address it in our master plan.
Sure.
We were thinking if we put a lot of verbiage in there about how important this is and tick off some of the things we need to accomplish, maybe we can.
I'd be
It says
interested
in the
reading it.
manual that what they look at is towns that are taking a holistic approach to their planning that includes not only how they address the floodplain considerations, but how they build this into an overall plan for addressing public considerations and future
Protecting the
development,
river,
protecting the environment and so on. And because we're looking at that anyway with our master plan, it's a sensible time for us to start building in these considerations.
All right, anything else the board has? Then we'll open it up for public
I was-
participation after.
Just a couple of things. We brought up, and I think Kath was the one who brought it up, discussion of rules of order, because, and the cell tower issue, and for us reading, even though we didn't have to approve anything on Mr. Calder's stuff right now, we only got to read that an hour ago.
Mhm.
And it seems to me that we should have a minimum time of 7 days, that
Mhm.
any information that's gonna be discussed at this board be available to us.
Mhm.
So because some of us have lives other than being able
Right.
to come in at the last minute. And some of us like to read the stuff and be prepared.
So, when did we first send out that these have been received? We sent it to them. It's been a while. We
Yeah.
sent it.
And I put a
That
note
it
that
had been
it's in my
received.
But
office.
I'm not just
Yeah.
talking about this, I'm talking
Yeah.
about like even with the cell tower. We
Right.
didn't have the information until the day before. You know, I mean, on some of the information.
Right.
Some of the
That was
information
one of the
submitted.
projects.
Right,
Yeah.
and so if we, and I'm just saying as
Yeah.
a general rule,
Yeah.
that we should have available to us, anything that's gonna be discussed in documentation 7 days before.
Right,
And I think that's very important, to have something like that, hard and fast.
yeah, some of these big documents, I mean, it's not really feasible to.
I
copy
mean,
them
that's
all.
printed out, so
Yeah.
somewhere it was on someone's computer, right? Is there a way that we can set up a share site with protected access, like a OneDrive or a Google Drive, so a big document like?
Town has a Google Drive.
Yeah, but I don't know if where this information is coming from, it's gonna
I don't know.
share it with
I'll
us
find
that far out, I don't
That would
know,
be great.
I don't know.
Because if we could just access a large document like that online, then nobody has to go through the hassle
I
of
agree.
printing it out, but we all have immediate access to it.
Yeah.
And don't have to take a ride up here if we don't have an
And
opportunity.
even the cell tower stuff was volume, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah,
lot.
printing that out was a lot.
So that would be great. And the other thing that I would like to see, and it's probably a little bit controversial, is I've served on other municipal boards elsewhere, and one of the things that they always did on the agenda under public participation, after that as an agenda item,
Mhm.
was non-public.
Mhm.
And it was always an agenda item, never got used,
Never get used.
but if you had to use it, it was
The
always there.
school, the school has that, line, it can only be used for.
I understand.
Few.
But I've been there, and I know what the.
But I don't know what we
Very
would
few.
have a reason to.
Well, we actually did we did a non-public on the last
When
one.
we were
didn't we?
talking to the attorney.
That's right, with the attorney.
Yes,
Yeah,
So it's there if you need it, and it's on the agenda, and you don't have to try to fit it in, which is what we had to do the
put it
last time.
there. I
Just
can't
as a
think,
regular item,
I can't think of many.
It's more personnel issues, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
we
That
don't
we
have
use
to-
it for.
Right.
I can't think of many times we could use it, but
Every time I see it, I dread it, because.
No, but if you
So
never
it's
use
bad.
it, right, no, but if, so, I mean, it goes to,
right,
on one case, I was on a school board, and we used it only because we wanted to excuse the administrator that was there away from the meeting every time, because in the event that we ever had to reprimand, remove, whatever, for any reason, the person, it wouldn't be out of place. So
Right.
every meeting, we ask them to leave for 10 minutes,
Right,
and then we do our business, and then, which was usually nothing,
right.
and then invite them back in.
yeah, a lot of like, boards that I've been on too, they'll have them on non-public at the end. They'll ask the director to step out of the room.
Exactly.
And they'll.
Right, so let's put it on.
I don't know
there.
if we're that, it's
No.
a little bit different here.
But yeah, it's, I
Let's
mean,
put it on there,
But it doesn't hurt.
No,
doesn't hurt.
those, my
I think
only
like
input-
that's like the first time we've ever met with our attorney, or I don't think we've used it hardly ever, because we don't do the.
May never use it again in the
Yeah.
next 100
Yeah.
years.
All right,
Hopefully.
we'll add that and, we can set a policy that, if at all feasible, the 7-day rule.
I think it doesn't have to have the if at all feasible caveat, because if we don't get the chance to
Right.
read it, it's hard to make it an educated. Provide educated input to a topic,
And that's why a lot of,
if we have to make a decision.
a lot of boards can't make a decision on that first night. There's a lot of boards
Yeah.
because you're
Right.
just receiving the information or you haven't
Right.
received it like 7 days out. It's just not possible to
Yeah.
vote on
Right.
it,
The
you know.
cell tower
Something
thing,
that
it should
requires a vote.
have been an informational ahead of a public hearing on that anyway.
So, okay, and, when was the last time we looked at been a while, the rules of procedure? Probably we're
It was
doing,
the previous board, so.
yeah, but it wouldn't, we have almost, we got a lot of new members, we got a new board here.
we
So,
can look at those.
let's look at those again and see what else is in there that we can improve upon. So let's remember to do that. Anything else the board is bringing up? Public
Motion.
participation? Anybody in the audience? Have anything you want to say?
Motion to adjourn.
Whoops, Rex, did you have something to say?
Yeah, really, but I don't want
I have two questions. First of all,
Sure.
how are we gonna do that when there's one person that doesn't like the verbiage of what the engineer said? So how are you gonna break that down to explain to the board that she's not happy with the wordage of the.
I don't understand your question.
Yeah, I don't know
Well,
what you're
so,
asking.
so I get the, Personality thing.
There's no argument anymore.
No, it's gone.
It's all.
There's no argument.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know
No.
how she's gonna give you 7 days notice that she doesn't like the word.
Oh, no,
no, that's,
no,
that's,
no.
that, she couldn't do that, because that has to happen in a public meeting. All I'm interested in is like,
Just
for
read it.
example, let's say that your stuff required a permit, which it doesn't, but let's say it did. I want to be able to read it, because I actually, when I was reading that, I found some stuff that was interesting to me. But because it's out of our purvey, I didn't ask it. It's probably more DES stuff, because that's out of, you're following the rules, so we
And
move
my
on.
next thing is that if you do get zoning, are you gonna start a zoning board, or do you think that the planning board is gonna be the zoning board?
Well,
No, you
yeah,
have
yeah,
You have a separate board.
you'd have to
And
have.
it- and it's not allowed to get enough people to do anything as it is, it is.
Yeah, you have a whole
It would-
separate
It would
board.
take this guy a lot of convincing right now, just.
And
Yeah.
I believe the board had this document 7 days in advance, because I got an email last week. I just
Yeah.
wasn't able to get here because we didn't have access to it on.
I think you sent out a really,
I'm not, now.
Right on.
She sent out that,
yeah,
that
that
she
I got it.
couldn't-
Out,
right off the
and
bat,
then
But
Said it was too big and that it was,
Yeah,
you know,
it
it
was-
was available.
as
here.
it was available
Yeah.
in my office.
I think,
anybody-
I think, you know,
It
even
was
on this, we
sometime
did
last
have
week.
the 7-day, you know, people knew it was here.
As long as we have the stuff, you know, and
And-
if we don't read it, that's our problem.
And
That's right.
anybody can come to the office whenever, you don't have to, you can just call up Kathy or. the
Kathy's always
office,
here for you.
And you
Well,
can come and
just
look at it. You can come look at it anytime. And anybody at any meeting can raise any thought that they have about anything. Without any advance notice. Anybody has the right to say whatever that they want to say. Or have an opinion. That's what a board is for. All right, anything else?
Quick question, I
Yes.
know, I'm looking at your master plan online and I know that you said that you're in the process of updating
Yes.
that. Is that something that has to come before the townspeople before you actually, or is it just a plan? That, is it?
The planning board adopts it. The planning board adopts it. It's not town meeting, it's the planning board.
It's a public hearing.
But yeah, I was gonna say that public hearing, yeah.
Yes.
After public hearing,
Okay.
absolutely. Anything else? Any other questions? Jim?
To tag on to that. The reason I'm here is just to encourage, first of all, great idea about the downtown meetings and everything else and getting that separate. I hope that when you're doing the master plan, you will consider everything that's in the town, not just in that small area.
Sure.
And realize that they were talking in the master plan about what attracts, not the master plan, at the meeting that they had at the Woodstock Station. What attracts people to come to this town, to spend their money in this town. The Pemigewasset River has been a major attraction here since the very beginning of the town. As a member of the Conservation Commission and also the representative for the selectmen to the Pemigewasset River Advisory Council. I hope that you will reach out to us and for input when you're doing the plan on things that we need to consider to protect the river. We've been very fortunate because we are so far upstream that we're not experiencing a lot of the things that are happening down in the towns of Thornton and Hampton and even down as far as Bristol. They are very concerned about the amount of water that is being taken out of the river for various major projects. It's going to come here eventually. We're fine right now, but we would be proactive to be considering some of in our planning, things like, remember the term, the boat ordinances and things like that, building in areas that we have some ordinances in your planning, but it'd be important to really take a specific look at the river. So that's why I came by. And also to see all the new faces.
Yeah, look at this. This is great. Yep, thank you. And you raised that issue at that downtown meeting. Don't forget about.
Oh, I think
Don't
everyone
forget
agrees,
about
you just forget about it, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think everybody agrees with it, for sure.
It's come up on the Conservation Commission that there are some things that the planning board has been doing that I'm also on the floodplain board. So that would be beneficial to have them together, to get together and talk
Well,
about some of the things that the planning board has been doing.
You know what? The Conservation Commission can have a representative on this board, just like the Selectmen has a representative. It's perfectly fine for the Conservation Commission to send a representative, have a representative on this board.
But not a voting one.
Not a voting
Right.
one, no, but be recognized as our connection to the
We're right in
Conservation
the
Commission.
middle of sort of reorganization as well. We have foreign faces on
Yeah.
our board too, so we'll see what happens.
So just remember, if one of you want to be the official representative to this board, you certainly can say so and sit here at our meetings and be part of our deliberation. You're not a voting member, but you can be part of the deliberations if you want. All right,
It would also be really great to have you included as we move forward with the community rating system work.
Well, our chair lives on the river and I know
Right.
she's aware of that community rating system. And now that she knows that you're going to be looking at it in September, who knows, she may be there.
And we also said at one meeting, it would be great if all the disciplines in the town got together like quarterly. You know, the different perspectives, the selectmen, the conservation commission, the fire department, the police department, everybody talk to each other like quarterly, and not do it in a vacuum. We can't. We're trying to come up with a plan for the town, but we need to hear from all the other segments that have their responsibilities too. So that was something that came up at one of the meetings, a quarterly forum for all the town disciplines to get together and talk and communicate and know what the other ones are doing. Anything else to come for the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Go on. Jerry.
You didn't get the vote on that one. Motion to adjourn.
No.
Right.
Very appreciated.
Thank you, Bonnie.
All right, see ya.
Put my watch.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Please go back and,
Thank you, Bonnie.
okay.
Good. I'm a little worried about.
One of the best meetings I've had in a long time.